And today our guest is Sunmeet. He is a VC investor.
Perks that you get in Middle East, they pay for free gas, free car, free accommodation.
I didn't know that.
I did over $200 million of sales for multi-billion-dollar companies. A couple of my companies were small. They went IPO on NASDAQ and then they merged together and were sold to Capgemini for $4 billion.
If it's not secret.
It made me an angel first. Zoom born in front of us. Google grew in front of us. Apple changed from where they were, to now a multi-trillion dollar company in front of us. Currently I have 23,000 LinkedIn followers and growing. It's lesser than yours.
Need to grow bigger, so to inspire you to grow bigger.
Let's have the chase.
Being competitive, so this is the environment of Silicon Valley. You compete.
You heard it first here.
Yeah, okay.
Dried up and they were in a very high capex business. And that was another lesson for me that avoid high capital expenditure businesses. So that's venture scalable. It can scale to $100 million revenue or even more.
What are the red flags for you when you meet an investor? We are like, no, that person is not the right one to give any money.
These are the ones which have gotten seed stage money.
$300 in our pocket. We printed our resumes at the San Francisco Public Library and started walk door to door in San Francisco restaurants, asking them to hire us as a server or dishwasher. How to sell my skill sets, because back in our country we don't praise ourselves. When I was able to become an accomplished leader or woman in America, I wanted to build a community where I can help other immigrant women who was in my situation. Hello everyone, I am Aytakin, welcoming you from Verso Talk podcast show. Verso Talk features immigrant leaders in investment, startups and Fortune 500 tech companies. The main goal of the podcast is to educate immigrant women in investment, money and career growth. At the same time, inspire and motivate immigrants through immigrant podcast guests, journeys and stories. Verso Talk is a part of the Immigrants Foundation program, and Immigrants is a non-profit organization that aims to empower diverse female immigrants in businesses, startups, investment and tech. And today our guest is Sunmeet. He is a VC investor and he is originally from India. Sunmeet is a managing partner at Jolly VC, providing venture support to early stage AI, SaaS and IoT startups. So Sunmeet, I am very happy to welcome you at our podcast show. Welcome to the Verso Talk.
Thank you so much for having me, Aytakin.
But I would like you to introduce yourself and talk about your professional background first, and later we will talk about your personal journey.
Yes, absolutely. So I've been in the Silicon Valley area for almost 25 years now. I was born in India. I did my engineering education in India. I also did a master's program in international business in India. And then I worked for some time in India and also in Muscat, Oman, near Dubai, in the Middle East for a year and a half before I immigrated to United States in the year 2000. And I've been in high tech since the beginning of my career, so I've had software experience in software industries, software services industry, as well as, touching different parts of software, right from mainframe to now cutting edge AI. Initially, 11 years, I was an operator working in a corporate job. I did over $200 million of sales for multi-billion-dollar companies. A couple of my companies were small. They went IPO on NASDAQ and then they merged together and were sold to Capgemini for $4 billion. And then I also worked in some other companies which are independently public. They're multi-billion-dollar corporations. But that gave me a front-end sales exposure. 6 out of Fortune 500 were my customers in that era. I was always interested in investing, so I started real estate investing way back in 2004, buying my first home in San Jose and then buying and renting out properties in other parts of Bay Area, and also where I come from. In India, I have multiple properties. So I've done a bit of landlording myself, buying and renting out properties, and we saw the capital gains on those. And I was also doing stocks and options trading. But there came a point in my life when we saw in the Silicon Valley, Facebook born in front of us, Zoom born in front of us, Google grew in front of us, Apple changed from where they were, to now multi-trillion-dollar company in front of us, NVIDIA, So having seen that, I was wondering, how can I participate in early stage startups to multiply the money faster? And that led me to explore the angel investing side, where when Snapchat went IPO, a school here in Mountain View who had invested $15,000 and made $24 million out of that in a few years.
Wow.
And that, I said, I can have several shots at goal if I invest several $15,000 for one shot at $24 million. So
did you do that? Did it work? If it's not secret,
it made me an angel first.
Okay.
And I have achieved higher returns than what a normal stock market or real estate would do, and that led me into the VC career.
Great.
But I still haven't hit that 1000xer. But we will.
Yes.
Maybe in my fund one we will hit. That's the idea.
Yes.
I still have 25 out of 44 active in the previous angel fund. 7 exits have already brought 3 times the money back to the bank. So it's all
amazing.
profits.
Wow.
There are some unicorns in that. And so in 2016, I started doing angel investing. So I've been an angel investor for 8 years now.
Okay.
I invested in 44 startups, my own money. And out of those 44, 7 have exited and brought nearly 3 times the money back to the bank. And 12 are dead, returning nothing.
Okay.
At different stage, the founders gave up, or they couldn't raise money, or they couldn't find product market fit enough to raise more money. But 25 are still active. So although that 25 has some unicorns, which are multi-billion dollar and they're growing, there are some profitable software companies who are not even raising anymore.
Wow.
And when they raise the next round, we'll know what the valuation is, or if they sell via M&A or do an IPO, then but we're using the old valuation that we know, which was the last round raised.
Yeah.
We also have some others which can raise money and do new rounds at a higher valuation. So that portfolio is doing extremely well.
Great.
It's running at a 4.4x multiple on invested capital and 38% IRR.
Awesome. You have such a great experience leading companies and then becoming angel investor, now VC. So we can talk about so many different topics to educate people or our audience on investment, on startup, etc. So let's start with the companies that you said that they failed through many different reasons. What did you learn with that lesson, especially the companies maybe at different stages they decided to...
Yeah. First learning is don't take the product risk. So there are different types of risks we take as a VC. There is a market and growth risk, which is, the revenue growth has to happen in future. When we are investing in early stage, we can only see a certain amount of revenue going and a certain revenue growth rate going. But a large part of growth has to happen in future. So that's the revenue and growth risk. Then you have the product risk itself, where a certain set of team is saying that, let me give you an example. There was a Stanford's award-winning team, they were launching a satellite in the middle Earth orbit, 3 satellites. They were starting with 1 satellite first and then 2 more satellites to cover the entire geographic area as the Earth moves. And their idea was that they would be the main satellites that other smaller satellites will communicate to actually communicate with the Earth. Otherwise, when the Earth moves, then the smaller satellites, their target region becomes out of range. So they would communicate with these three main satellites, and they'll have a 24/7, 365 coverage over there. So they raised about $15 million. When they launched their first product on a SpaceX rocket, they paid to send it to Middle Earth orbit. They could not connect the ground station with that. So, and they had like hundreds of millions of LOIs, a letter of intent from prospective customers, that if they could launch that, if the launch was successful and then they could connect with ground station, then there were customers ready to buy their bandwidth. They had FCC clearance. It was a Stanford team.
Yeah.
They had grants from NASA. They had worked with Elon Musk and SpaceX before.
Wow.
Rocket scientists from Stanford. So all we saw was a talented team and FCC spectrum and a lot of other things. What we did not assume was, what if the product launch fails?
Yeah.
So that's where we took a product risk. Now I don't take any product risk.
I see.
The product has to be selling in the market, and you have to be generating revenue from multiple customers. Otherwise, I say, please meet me 6 months later.
Lessons learned.
I look beyond your degrees and your past achievements.
Yeah.
If the product is already not selling and you can't show me customers and a happy set of customers and a pipeline where you're going to generate future revenue, I don't touch it.
So,
I stay friends, but don't invest
which
immediately.
means education, having a great Ivy League education doesn't always guarantee great product and successful
No
startup.
way. It doesn't even guarantee a job these days. Right? There's so many Ivy League MBAs and coming out, and there's not enough demand. So
That is tough market now, but I love your authenticity here. So let's talk about your personal journey. Who is Sunmeet in his personal life? Where did he grow up? And what made him to be where he is today?
Well, the journey is still on, so I don't think I've reached a stage where I've accomplished some part of it, but it's still on. So I was born in India, and I grew up in a middle class Indian family. My father was in a bank job, and so it was very steady, stable job. He did one job all his life, right? But that provided for us a house, a car, stuff that I needed, education. My younger brother went to Australia. He studied there and he settled out there. I did my 2 educations. There was no pressure for me, after engineering. I had a job, but I left it, and I did not even join them, and I immediately started my master's. So that was doing fine. We had a house in New Delhi, capital of India. Property prices were growing, so we were fine. We had everything that we needed, except for that I had not traveled outside India for majority of my life at that time. But my first job was with a Hewlett-Packard company, a contract job with Hewlett-Packard company in New Delhi, the India headquarters of HP. And that's where I read the HP Way book. And I said, oh, Silicon Valley must be fascinating. And, I was an electronics and communication engineer from a top university. And I found it fascinating. Hey, I have to visit Silicon Valley once in my life. So many tech companies out there. And everything is invented over there. So I was fascinated, but the opportunity came with a HP distributor in Oman. So I got a job, after doing some work in India. I got a pretty good job. They gave me a flat to live in and car and the typical perks that you get in Middle East. They pay for free gas, free car, free accommodation.
I didn't know that.
And literally 75% of your salary that they give you goes to savings because there are no taxes.
Is it still valid there? So
Typically, If you go to tech companies,
to refer me somewhere.
So in Dubai and Oman and a lot of Middle East, if you are doing a good job, if you're an expat on an expat visa doing a good job, and a lot of people from France and UK and all, they come to these countries to do, because there's no tax. In France and in UK and all, there's huge tax. Wow. Whatever they earn, 50% or so goes into tax. So same with India. A lot of Indians go and work in these. So this was an IT company, and so it was a decent job, and So it was, promised savings. But I worked there for about a year and a half, and I was visiting India, and I met my current wife. So we've been married for 25 years over there through some contact. And she was living in the US. She was in the banking sector, working for Wells Fargo here. But then we, kind of decided to marry. We met each other a couple of times, and through a personal, family contact. And then she came to live with me in Oman for 3 months or so. And then we decided that it'll be better because there was a dot-com boom happening here in the Valley. And I was an engineer from background. I moved to Silicon Valley. Initially, we lived in Mountain View for a few years. And then we bought our home in San Jose, where we live in for 20 years now. Initially 11 years, as I told you, I worked in the IT services sales. I was flying around managing my accounts in Phoenix, Orange County, Bay Area, Northern California, Seattle, Washington.
Great, thank you. You have been an angel investor, now you are a VC investor. So what are the main key differences for you that you are enjoying being a VC investor?
I'm very respectful of all founders out there. It is very difficult to be a founder. I'm a founder myself. I have 2 US patents granted in social networking. I've run an app for 7 years, bootstrapped. We couldn't raise money for it, or we never raised money because we went into COVID, and group travel and events planning was not allowed during COVID. And because of the IP, we did not want any kind of investor. You only wanted either big investors or maybe try to look for a stronger partner for M&A. Because there are 2 US patents granted and 3 progressing internationally. There's a trademark granted, 110,000 downloads. It's a viral app. If money is infused in there. So, and then I got busy with VC Lab and building the VC fund for last 2 years. So I stopped paying attention. 95% of my time has gone into this business, and this is kind of, what we want to do forever. We put our name on it, Jolly.vc and, Jolly VC LLC.
Right.
So we are on Fund 1, we'll have a Fund 2 later on, and, however things progress. But I'm very respectful of all founders, and I love to talk to founders and understand what they're innovating. I love innovation too. Being an engineer, I want to see how a new technology is coming in and disrupting older ways of doing things, and making things better, cheaper, faster, or creating new categories altogether. Right now AI is hot. Once smartphone was hot.
Yeah.
We saw blockchain, and then so I've been from that era when internet was, people were questioning, will Amazon survive?
Yeah.
Right, way back in 2000.
Right.
And today you can't live without Amazon.
Exactly.
Right. So I've seen it all in 25 years, and so I'm very, very accepting of newer technologies as they come, and as the innovation adoption curve develops for every single technology, and every single new technology, disruptive technology comes, it creates a whole bunch of new companies. Now there will be some dead, some M&A, some IPO, but to be in there, we want to be involved, and we want to be invested, and we want to play the game to be able to. If you don't try, you're not going to get your 1000x, right?
Yeah,
it's as simple as. The best is to keep trying to get those. So I've hit 100xers, I've hit 50xers, I've hit a lot of 10x plus, which is why the portfolio is running at 4.4x with 25 still growing.
Yeah.
But in the fund now we have 5 startups invested, and we brought 3 from the angel portfolio at my cost. So there are 8 startups in the fund right now, but we are still deploying capital, and the plan is to do 40 startups from the fund itself till 2028. So 10 a year. I see thousands of pitch decks every year. I take Zoom calls or due diligence calls with only a fraction of those which are in my thesis area.
Immigrants is a global community of diverse female immigrants. At Femigrants, we connect immigrants to the business and career growth resources. Femigrants offers different types of events, helping immigrants to connect with the most successful and influential immigrant leaders of the Bay Area. These events include, but are not limited to, fireside chats, coffee meetups, different types of brunches, dinner events with immigrant investors and executives, annual forums, summits, and many different types of events where we invite successful immigrant leaders to join as speakers, and many different community members connect with them to learn from them, get inspired, and also support each other. At Femigrants, we also organize different types of trainings for newcomers, for small business owners, and startup founders, helping them to take their business ideas and career to the next level to become successful immigrant leaders in America. If you're an immigrant, no matter how long you have been here, either you have just arrived or you have been living here for many years, we have different resources for you to get the benefit, to enjoy, to get inspired, to feel supported, welcomed, to give and get support. So don't delay your success. Join Femigrants community to become a successful immigrant leader and empower your immigrant peers. To join Femigrants community, please go to femigrants.com, and I hope to see you at one of the Femigrants events in Silicon Valley very soon. Does it mean that you enjoy the process of listening to the pitches and maybe taking a risk? Is it
I don't get tired of listening to founders. I can do it all day. I do it all day. Most of my 30-minute calls that people set up on Calendly, they go into 1 hour to 2 hours, depending on when my next call.
Last time went over 1 hour, right?
Yeah. Yes, when we spoke first time. So most of my calls do go and they are generally restricted by the next call starting. So yes, I like to explore as much as possible to see if there is gold in there, as well as to see how people are really building that particular business, and also to see if I meet some very good talented people, even if they're not doing something great right now, maybe they can do something in the future. So I always connect with them. Currently I have 23,000 LinkedIn followers.
Nice.
And growing. It's lesser than yours, maybe. But
I hope we are not competing on LinkedIn.
No, but when I saw your LinkedIn following, I said, okay, there are some people I meet who have more than me. So, but most of them have lesser than me.
Okay, now I need to grow bigger, so to inspire you to grow bigger too.
Let's have the chase. Let's see.
So being competitive. So this is the environment of Silicon Valley. You compete. Right.
It's okay. I'm not competing with you on followers. You're running Femigrants,
yes.
Which means female immigrants, or now you're saying even male immigrants are welcome, right?
Yes.
That's a huge population. 60% of Silicon Valley would be some kind of
yeah.
I think so. I don't know.
Now I need to rebrand Femigrants.
You should rebrand. You know what you should do?
What?
Make it Fantastic Immigrants.
Oh!
You heard it first here.
Yeah, okay.
If she rebrands Fantastic Immigrants, it's because of me. I gave the idea.
Great. So what are the painful processes or painful experience of being in an investment world? Let's be authentic.
Well, painful is when you followed the journey of a founder and you are very bullish that this is going to change the world or go IPO, and they're doing well, but suddenly because of macroeconomic conditions or some factors beyond the control of founders, they have to shut down. Not in early stages, but later stages. It has happened to me in my angel portfolio. There was a Series C company.
Oh,
so I was a seed investor at 6 million valuation.
Uh-huh.
They were they did Series A, Series B, and they were at Series C, raising 50 million on some 250 million valuation.
What?
27 or 29 million was already raised.
Uh-huh.
And the Putin war started and the inflation came in. And they could not meet the remaining, and they were so comfortable in raising the previous rounds that they had already started spending that money. So it happened at that time that, the war had started, the money dried up, and they were in a very high capex business. And that was another lesson for me, that avoid high capital expenditure businesses. Be in business where the gross margin is very high. I have actually a 13-point checklist, which is getting very popular everywhere now. People, when they see it, it has become a course in San Jose State University. So yesterday, Dr. Anuradha Basu and Professor Gurmeet Narula, who actually did a video recording of that course with 6 or 7 entrepreneurs, and I'm one of them. So I did that 13-point checklist for the students. It's become a part of the business course curriculum in university.
Would you mind to tell this, like maybe top 5 checklists? If not certain.
Yes, sure. Large addressable market.
Okay.
So whenever we look at the startup and what they're building, we see if it can scale bigger or not, and if the founders ever dream to scale bigger or not. So if founders only want to have a new kind of a pizza shop, but only 3 or 4 of them, then that's not venture scalable. But if you're building a software for, like one of our companies is doing small banks and credit unions, AI implementation for small banks and credit unions. There are 10,000 such banks and credit unions in the United States alone. And then rest of the world also has. And with 100, they are doing 15 million revenue at 70% gross margin. MIT team, award-winning, both founders of Forbes 30 under 30. Now that's venture scalable, because if you infuse more capital in them, then they're going to have more and more customers. They hire more salespeople. They make the product better. Product gets better with every day that a customer gives a feedback. And there's 100 banks running right now, banks and credit unions. So that's venture scalable. It can scale to $100 million revenue or even more, and international markets. And then they can add features and charge more to the customer as well. But a neighborhood taco shop, 3 taco shops, 4 taco shops, that's a small business. A family can run it and take bank loan and do it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people do come to us, like in Immigrants even, we had some people, some founders come to us and tell us, I'm doing consulting business where I have 4 or 5 consultants in a specific area. And I said that's not, you can grow to 20 consultants and make good money for yourself, but that will not give me $1 billion exit or multiply the money venture scale.
Was there any brilliant idea at the event that was promising?
A few. Yes.
That's good. So what stage?
Seed stage, early stage, yeah. See, in events, generally we meet more early stage people than later stage people.
Right.
What happens with Series A and beyond is there's a lot that has happened in their life. They have a list of investors to call, and they're so busy with their customers, and they don't attend a lot of, they may be attending when they were early on in the game to get the early angels, and but by the time you reach Series A, someone is writing a big $5 million, $10 million check to you, and then others are adding on to it. You're so busy scaling up to go to Series B that you, at that time, you limit the number of events that you're going to go, and you don't go, and so those guys are much busier. We see in the events a lot of people in the early stage, but then there are guys who are doing $1 million revenue or $500,000 revenue. They can technically qualify to go into Series A very soon, and those are what we are looking for. People who are already running the business for a few, they know their business, they have customers, they have product, but their revenue is not big enough to immediately take a big check from a big VC fund. So where we come in is we can do a safe note or a convertible note leading up to the next price round or bigger price round.
Interesting.
And that helps the founder. They keep collecting these smaller checks to keep the lights on, and then they get a big investor who converts all these outstanding safes and convertible notes into the price round. And then the capital is infused, and then they get busy only in the revenue side because they don't need money. Money is sitting in the bank for them for 2 to 3 years. So that's a typical thing that I've seen.
So after, I would like you to walk through the process as a VC investor to educate people. After you invest, what happens next? How do you help the founder to keep growing to the next round and next round? Are you involved, or you invested and then you are
if they need help, yes. A lot of times founders just sets up a call with me and saying, I want to discuss the go-to-market strategy. Because I come from a deep sales and marketing background. And some founders are young, and some of them are from product side, and they've not done a lot of sales and marketing. They're like PhDs from Stanford in machine learning. But they are CEOs because they started the company. And they sometimes bounce off ideas on this is how I'm doing, or they ask for customer referrals because we have 23,000 LinkedIn followers. A lot of our LPs in our fund are working in big companies in director level or C-level positions, and they can be potential customers for our startups too. And so we help sometimes. They say, okay, this person is connected with you. I say, oh, he's my LP, he's an investor in the fund. Can you please introduce me to him? Because then they get a warm intro. They don't have to cold call or cold email. There's someone introducing them, and then they can pitch their services. So customer intros is one. Second, investor intros. Like I'm from VC Lab, and the back office of my fund is run by a team that runs 100 other VC funds back office. And so we do deal sharing amongst each other. If a founder requests that, hey, I have a 2.5 million to fill and I already have 2 million, can you help spread the word amongst your network so that we can get the additional 500,000 filled? I've done that recently for a founder, and he got extra VCs and invested from the VC Lab. And it happened so quickly that he filled his round and closed his term sheet.
Amazing.
So co-investor, customer intros, sometimes they're hiring someone. They want talent. Instead of paying a recruiter 30%, whatever the recruiters charge, most startups are cash strapped. And they know that a lot of talent comes to us. Right? Because a lot of these early stage founders with idea, they're very talented. They are skilled in certain area, but they cannot launch the company because they don't have sufficient funding. But they can be a great hire for another startup of mine.
That's a good
So we also network great talent at times with just spread. Sometimes they put up a job on a board and they say, just put it out on your LinkedIn. So my 23,000 followers, even if a few thousand followers see, a lot of my followers are techie people.
Awesome.
And they save money out there.
So when someone pitches you, maybe the first time, right? Cold pitches, no intros. What are the top three things you pay attention to see if this is the right fit? Maybe the first basic or initial idea about that founder.
First is what stage are they? What are they building? If it's in my thesis or not. So if they are doing a product that's in biotechnology area, researching the next drug, which needs FDA clearance, then that's
no for you.
No for me. If they're doing AI, SaaS, IoT, then yes. But then what stage are they? Are they pre-product, pre-revenue? Then I listen to the idea, understand, connect with them, see their profile, and see whether they have raised any money. Or what is my feeling if this idea plus this team will be able to raise any money? In most cases, I would give a Zoom call or my Calendly to arrange a Zoom call to someone who says, I'm already doing this. I have so much customers, so much revenue. I have raised so much capital. I'm raising this round. Portion of this round is already filled this much. I need extra investors. That's when I feel like this is hot enough to explore right now. And beyond a LinkedIn connection, I ask them for their pitch deck. And then I go through the pitch deck. If I feel, yes, further due diligence is required, then we do a Zoom call, and then we start that process. And if we can invest, then we invest. If we feel that we want to keep them in the future pipeline as more capital comes in, 3 months later, 6 months later, or when they reach a certain traction. Like this startup right now is at 300K revenue. Once they reach, say, closer to $1 million, then I know that these guys would be preparing for a Series A. And if I see a set of marquee investors in there, or their fundraising ability is good, then we want to spend more time with them. Provided other check boxes are there, large addressable market, benefit to customer, gross margins, net margins, a GTM strategy that's working, a go-to-market strategy that's working for them, a team that is motivated to build something big.
Thank you. What are the red flags for you when you meet an investor? We are like, no, that person is not the right one to give any money.
Early stage investing is about finding green in a sea of red. So it's not finding red in a green sea.
Okay.
Because at least, I just did a ChatGPT search. I said, okay, what percentage of seed stage startups can make it to Series A? The answer was about 30 to 40%. Saying about 1/3 of the startups actually make it to Series A. These are the ones which have gotten seed stage money.
Yeah.
A lot of startups do not even get seed stage money. They stay at their own money plus friends and family and some early angels. They cannot build a product.
Yeah.
Or what they're thinking is that this product will change the world, but when they go to customer, they're having a significant pushback from the customer. Either a better competitor is out there, which is well-funded, or a product is, or customer is fine doing the way their stuff is doing. Things change when you go and start selling. You can think that you are going to change the world with your product, but unless the customer also feels it, and then you can scale it to multiple customers, it's not done. So a lot of fallout. The bottom is very crowded, and then the pyramid gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And Series A is almost always much safer to invest in than any other stages. But a lot of people cannot access Series A because at that time, big VC investors are putting $5 million, $10 million, and the minimum check sizes then go to $100K, $200K, in some cases $250K, $500,000. So a fund can enter that stage, while individual angels can, unless you've gotten into a cap table earlier with your 10K, 25K, they are kind of not invited in Series A because the company is now raising serious amount of capital and on a serious growth path. And what happens is, so same story, the risk is primary portion of my job is to assess the risk for my fund, or for if I'm an angel, for myself, or if I'm a VC, so for my fund, that which is the one that I should put my dollars right now, which is more likely, which is burning cash enough that they can raise money to keep going, and where is the break point? After what revenue can they actually break even and become profitable? Then founder will come under control, because then he doesn't have to go for money. If he wants to, he can reduce the team a little bit, increase revenue, and start becoming profitable. That's when serious money starts to come in. Big checks, big investors. Because by that time they've proved, I have 75 customers, I have 100 customers. Everybody wants that.
So there used to be a time when investors invested in idea, not even seeing like MVP or anything. How is
investors still invest in ideas?
Still?
A different class of investors does. I have, as I said, as an angel, I invested in that Stanford rocket science, right? There was an idea with a lot of work they had done, but really there was no revenue. Not just idea, but idea plus FCC Spectrum and NASA award and raising $15 million. There's a lot of work they did for years. But there was no revenue generating product until that satellite was launched and connected back, which they couldn't do. So that was nobody invests. I mean, on your idea, you have to put money yourself, friends and family, your rich uncle, if you can convince someone in that area, which is that this is something you're building because of your background, and that person understands that you can really do it, or you'll build something valuable. But those are, again, angel checks.
Yeah.
There are some VCs, they say we do from idea stage to, but we have not seen that much. They try to attract everyone.
Yeah.
But you can't even get meetings with those guys with just an idea on a plain paper. A lot of people will tell you, we do pre-seed, we do idea stage, we do MVP stage. And some of them actually do, looking at the profile of what you've done in past, and they try to get in cheap. Sometimes you go to an accelerator, and accelerators take idea stage, like Y Combinator or any of the other Techstars, Alchemist Accelerator. They would take you at a idea plus MVP plus team stage and then help you raise some money from initial capital. They also put their own money at a very low valuation, though. And that gets people started. Airbnb started like that, and Coinbase, and a lot of early YC companies started like that, where the founders didn't have money, but they got the initial capital from the accelerator itself. But that doesn't mean that there is no guarantee that they will be able to get significant revenue from customers or scale up the company significantly, because there is a lot of failure rate in that cohort also. Thousands of companies are coming out of accelerators. The ones that make it to Series A have real business going. They have certain amount of customers doing certain amount of revenue, and it's always north of $1 million ARR. And if you're selling software even at $100K per implementation per year, that means you have 10 customers to reach 1 million ARR, 1 million of annual recurring revenue. So you've done some serious thing to get there.
Yes.
And it's years of work to get there. So if we, as early stage investors, we do a very smart thing. We look at this whole range to find those gems out, which we know are going to easily get to the Series A. And they're just prepping up a bigger, like one company we invested in is at pre-Series A. So they ran a $3 million round, pre-Series A round at 27 million valuation, safe note. The founder is doing close to $3 million in revenue with 75 customers. They have Axel Partners as co-investors and Alumni Ventures as co-investors. And we saw that the 75 marquee customers, BMW, Tata, Schneider Electric, Boeing. And you can't sell 3 million of software without having something, with 75 customers running. And we invested in the safe note. So that's where we see that this is already having traction, already doing well, has a lot of customers. Now this has to be sold higher. So the more capital he gets, more salespeople he can hire, and the product is improving with everyday feedback from these customers. The more customers you have, the more feedback you'll get. You improve your software.
Right. Awesome. My last question, then you will ask me a question. I will tell you. What inspires you to stay true to your job every day with all its ups and downs and challenges as an investor, and it's related to it? If anybody wants to join your company, Jolly VC, how they can join it? Two questions in one.
First of all, I have been an investor right from 2004, from real estate, and graduated up. I still own real estate, which keeps growing in value. I've done real estate, I've done stocks, I've done options, I've done angel investing, and now VC investing, which is similar to angel, but the check sizes are much higher because it's a pooled investment vehicle. We pool in money from limited partners and then invest. So I want to grow this firm, Jolly VC. So right now we are on Fund 1. We want to do this, and then we want to do a Fund 2, which will be a larger fund, and then Fund 3. We want to build a firm which stays forever and which constantly gives a higher rate of return to our investors and to us, because we are also investors in the fund. But if you hit a few shots at goal. Like the
Okay,
highest
okay.
returning fund in history of venture capital returned 250x. That was lowercase capital one, $8.4 million first fund of Chris Sacca. He wanted to raise 10 million, but he could only raise 8.4. But he deployed it so beautifully in Instagram, Twitter, Uber, Kickstarter, early smartphone days, in early shares that, that funded 250x. Every 100K became $25 million.
Wow.
But there are 20 million households in the United States which are accredited.
Yeah.
And which means majority of people have never invested as an angel or a LP in a venture fund for higher returns. My fund graduated from VC Lab, and our back office is run by Decile Partners, which is a sister company of VC Lab. So it's A-class operations,
Thank you. Great.
Yeah.
Now we are at the end of the podcast. Very informative. Learned so many things from you. As a format of the podcast, you can ask me one question.
When are you changing the Immigrants brand to Fantastic Immigrants?
When you write the check. Was it a good answer? Just
See, the reason why I say that is, even though my wife is not a listed partner in my fund or founder in my startup, but she lives the pain or the glory along with me, right? So I think you need to extend the Femigrant brand. So when are you extending the Femigrant brand to include more male participants like me?
Great question.
That's the question.
I know from my husband, who is an immigrant. I don't know if you had a chance to meet him at the event.
No, not yet.
Okay, so I will introduce you to. So I cannot say that he struggled less than I struggled, because we both started, both me and my husband, from low level as immigrants. We had no savings, no money, no investor uncles to help us to survive. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to my keynote speech last time at the conference, but there I shared our journey. We were at the point we had only $300 in our pocket. We printed our resumes at the San Francisco Public Library and started walk door to door in San Francisco restaurants, asking them to hire us as a server or dishwasher. So that's how our journey started, because we didn't have luxury to wait for companies to review and then all application process. And the first job my husband got was a dishwasher. Also, he had an MBA in London. But luckily, within 1 hour, they promoted him to the waiter job. He didn't wash the dishes because his manager left the room to park her car, and then some client shows up. My husband helps to get the order and then send the customer. She comes in, she sees that my husband knows how to accept the customer, make a payment, etc. And then she tells, oh my God, I need someone to help with that. I don't want you to wash dishes. I want you to be a waiter. And that's how we survived, with all the tips people, because my husband is very great with customer support, clients, etc. Very extrovert person. And customers loved him. They gave him great tips, and we survived. So I became a housewife with 2 kids. I couldn't work. But to survive with 2 kids, my husband has to work 2 different jobs, hotel, restaurant, and study at the college, despite his degrees, hoping that maybe he needs to develop some technical skills besides the marketing. He can get fit into tech companies here. So with our story, I know that there are struggles for immigrants that males also go through, and with Femigrants I don't exclude males, but when I started as my personal journey, that as a mom who had successful career back in Azerbaijan, I struggled so much to build my network, to apply for a job, to know how to present myself, how to sell my skill sets, because back in our country we don't praise ourselves. I didn't know how to sell my skill sets. So when I was able to become an accomplished leader or woman in America, I wanted to build a community where I can help other immigrant women who was in my situation. That's how I started Immigrants community. But then I realized that now we need to include men into the room, so they hear our stories. They are part of the conversation. They empower us. They support us, because that's how we can grow. We cannot say that, oh, only female, only woman, let's do it with no men involved. So we need men to be involved. We need men to support us, to empower us. And I am still so lucky, because I have got so many support, not only from women but also from men. We have board who also like men and women. I got sponsors for the events, like males. I invited male speakers. I invited you as a male investor. So we do include, but in terms of like changing a name, it will be a rebranding, and we need a budget and marketing strategy. It's not easy just to one day to wake up, hey, now Immigrants is something different, right? It needs to be strategic.
So you get all your female immigrants first, and when it's hard to get more, then you change. You still keep the Immigrants, but say now it's fantastic immigrants. So male are welcome too, and suddenly you'll bump up. The rest of the population will be coming in. But yeah, since I left my corporate career and started doing stuff on myself, and my wife was always in a banking, managing the banks, and I've been picking and dropping kids, both my kids, for years now. One now, he's college graduate, so he drives himself, but even my daughter is still young, and I pick her up, my wife drops her, but
so we share
we share it's not possible for one or the other. Some sacrifice has to be done by someone, and it worked out well, because I needed more time outside of the corporate to do the stuff that I wanted to build. So it worked out very well for us.
The interesting thing, in America, it's hard for both of the parents to grow at the same time. One needs to sacrifice the career to help with family and kids. Either that sacrifice comes mostly to women, let's be honest with that. Women take most of the responsibility with kids, family, running errands, and then men grows. But there are some particular situations, like Indra, like CEO of Coca-Cola former, she says in her interview that I was lucky because my husband took most of the responsibilities with the kids and family, so I could grow my career. So it's something that
it also depends upon what kind of work you're doing, right? So when I'm running my own startups, I have the flexibility.
Yeah.
That, like, if you look at my Calendly, the time that I go and pick up my daughter is blocked out. Nobody can book me during that time, right? Because I blocked it out. I have to pick her up. And so it's the flexibility that, if I was working in a corporate job, they wouldn't give me that flexibility.
Exactly. Yes.
So then I can't take on that responsibility. So in a way, it's good. Now I'm an entrepreneur, and now my VC fund is growing, and I have a multi-million-dollar fund. It's because of that, because I chose it.
Yes.
And it helped the family as well.
That's why we need more men to be included to the conversation, to be included in the process of support in any way, not only, when I say like support, not only financial, but maybe mentally, be advisor, be mentor, help women to grow. So I really appreciate your time to be here. I enjoyed the conversation with you, especially you pushing me to consider more on Immigrants branding. I will talk with board about it. So thank you so much for your time. It was such a great pleasure to have you in the podcast. If there is anything you would like to add, maybe in a very quick 30-second pitch type of tips, please.
Thank you for having me. I think we've discussed a lot, and just gratitude, that to all the people around me who have helped us in reaching our goals, whether it's my investors or it's my founders, whether it's the Silicon Valley ecosystem, The pictures that I shared with you, you'll see a lot of pictures from, me with Barry Eggers or Vinod Khosla. And, one thing good about Silicon Valley is almost all people have started with nothing.
Yeah.
And some have become really, really very successful and rich, but they come and share and they want more success for other people. So there's a gratitude for everybody. Like event organizers like you bring us together.
Yeah.
Right. Founders can meet me and I can meet founders and we can hear some speakers and we can meet speakers too.
Right.
In networking sessions. And
Awesome.
so I think I'm grateful for being in Silicon Valley. I love the weather and, I play tennis 3 times a week, try to, but beyond, everything else, there's a lot of mentorship that exists in this place, which may not be the case in every part of the world.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much again. Our guest was Sunmeet. He is a VC and founder of Jolly VC. And don't forget to watch us at Verso Talk with Aytakin on YouTube podcast show. Thank you so much.